Restoration efforts continue on MacClellan Island in Chattanooga to clear invasive plants.
After a prescribed burn failed, the Audubon Society brought in some reinforcements to help clear those plants, and we know that was goats. Those goats have done such a good job over the past year, and in fact, they might become permanent residents on MacClellan Island.
I actually had the chance to meet those hard-working goats and check in on their progress. The nearly 19-acre nature sanctuary located in the middle of the Tennessee River looks a lot different than it did in the summer of 2024, thanks to a project that's gained national attention.
The goats are phenomenal at getting into this dense, and I keep calling it a jungle because you can't walk through it.
Invasive plants like English ivy and Japanese honeysuckle took over about 80% of MacClellan Island.
The first thing we tried to do last year was a prescribed burn or controlled burn. However,
when the fire department tried to light some of the invasive plants, they would not burn.
We got advice from a number of people, including Fire Chief Rick Boatwright, who said, you know, Jim, you really should get some goats.
Christina Herndon, owner of Circle and Stables, heard the Audubon Society was looking for goats.
About 20 minutes later, we made a deal, and within 48 hours, we had goats on the property at Chattanooga Audubon Society. And here we are.
More than a year later, there are currently 4 goats working away on the island.
When I came over here, it was literally a jungle. You couldn't hardly get through anywhere. There was stuff all over the trails. You couldn't walk. Now you can walk on the trail.
The goats are fenced off to an acre at a time and get moved every month or so when they're done grazing in that area.
We've only touched the 20 acres that we have here, so I think it's going to be part of a permanent forest management plan that we have here.
The Audubon Society only has a full-time staff of 3 people, and while they bring in volunteers like these Ivy Academy students, they need more to keep the restoration.
So, you know, it's going to take a while for everything to get through, and then you have the continuous maintenance they have to do to make sure it that stays gone.
And as the goats are drawing more visitors to the island,
the goats are cute, the work is fun, and it's just a good old time.
Donations are also much appreciated.
The donations go for the expenses for the goats, the management of the island, and for the other properties that they have. They've got to have that love and support of the community.
In Chattanooga, Meg Doyle, ARC Chattanooga. You know, this is something that is so unique. I mean, who would have thought to put goats on this island to help clear out those invasive species? And even more so, recently, the New York Times covered this island as well, and the goats, which is so cool that, you know, Chattanooga is just so unique in so many different ways, and this is one of those instances.
Well, these guys certainly are the goats for the work that they're doing. A very good job.
Good.
I'll never forget the day where we actually had our morning team live when they were going to do those prescribed burns on the island to get rid of those invasive plant species, and we saw the white smoke, and it was just so smoky, and they were saying, you know, this stuff just isn't going to burn. It's too thick, and it's just not a good environment for that. So online, a lot of people were writing, you know, ways that they would think that they would work. And we remember one comment was, why don't we just bring in goats and have them eat it? And like you said, Meg, who would have ever thought that that would end up being an idea that would actually now seem like a more permanent one, where these goats are going to be rotating throughout the island, taking care of those areas in controlled sections at a time, so people can still go and enjoy the island, right?
And the amount of progress they've made in just about a year. They are taken off the island during the colder months, just because, of course, you can only access the island by boat or paddleboard or kayak. And so during the holidays, they don't get as many volunteers out there. And obviously someone has to go over there to at least check on the goats daily, make sure they're all good, and then, you know, move their little enclosure around once a month or so whenever they're done grazing in that area. But the progress they made already is pretty cool, and just hearing them talk about it is like, wow, that's crazy to think we went from a prescribed burn that failed to goats. That's awesome.
That's really interesting. I mean, I wish I could have been on that boat getting them all to the island.
Me
I'm
too.
sure that was a process.
Oh my goodness. She said it was. She said they were kind of confused. I probably would be too.
Well, let's hand things over to meteorologist